He was the Deputy Secretary of Labor under the Obama administration and now is a senior fellow at the University of Virginia Miller Center. Mr. Liu, it is once again a pleasure and an honor to speak with you, sir.
Always great to be on here to give you the jobs numbers.
Absolutely. So they weren't quite what we were expecting, but the unemployment rate remained unchanged.
Well, that's exactly right. For the month of March, the country gained 103,000 jobs. Most analysts were predicting about 200,000 jobs. The unemployment rate did stay unchanged at 4.1%. Look, we always caution not to read too much into 1 month of job numbers because they do bounce up and down. And when you look at the last, 3 or 6 months, the numbers are good. And obviously we're in year 8 of a long economic recovery. And so about this time, you would expect the numbers aren't quite as good as they used to be. The other thing that I'd point out is the wage growth. This is the one that we were always concerned about in the Obama administration is how much more money are workers getting into their pockets. And over the past year, it's been 2.7%. That's good. It's not great, and it's certainly not enough money to make a difference in most people's lives. So on balance, this was a good jobs numbers. Not great, but good.
I would agree with that. I know most analysts were expecting something like 200,000 jobs to be created, but that number was only half we achieved. How much do you think these job numbers played into the bloodbath that we saw on Wall Street in the stock market Friday?
I don't think they helped. And I think, I think there's a lot of things, there's a lot of question marks in this economy right now. I certainly think probably more at play is the trade war that Donald Trump is launching and what implications those are going to have for farmers in this country. I think there's probably a sense that at least in the tech sector, some of the stocks might be overvalued. And I think there's just a lot of uncertainty right now in the world. And, so I certainly played a factor.
I agree with you. And granted, it is factual that China and the United States have had a gross trade imbalance for a long, long time in China's favor. Do you think that the president, is this going to work? I mean, he's taking a sledgehammer when I think he should be using a scalpel and dealing with China. Your thoughts?
You're exactly right. I mean, look, we have had large trade imbalances with China for years. There is a broader question about whether they are adequately protecting U.S. intellectual property. And so, this is not necessarily a partisan issue. President Obama tried to take action against China. I know President Bush did as well. I think it's less taking action than how you do it. And the sledgehammer analogy is an appropriate one. Look, there's a whole process, international process for how you resolve a trade dispute. And I think this constant ratcheting up of rhetoric on both sides is not productive. And as what you've seen is the Chinese now have said, look, we're going to retaliate against U.S. farmers because they know that is many of those people supported Donald Trump, and they're going after things like pork and soybeans and ethanol, and that's going to hit states like Iowa very, very hard. And so, look, it's unfortunate we are here. A rational president might be able to lower the temperature and come up with a solution, but that's not the president we're dealing with right now.
That is Chris Liu, folks. We thank you so much, Mr. Liu. Thank you for all that you do at Miller Center and for all that you did under the Obama administration. Sir, I'm a fan. Thank you so much.
Always great to be on. Thank you so much.
All right, you got it, man. 877-532-5797 is the number to join us. Again, 877-532-5797 is the number to join us. We are going to be joined by Dr. Earl Ofari Hutchinson very, very shortly. And we got a host of things to talk about. But, yeah, I do agree with what former Secretary Liu has said. I mean, these numbers are not what we expected. But it's going to go up and down, and it's going to be volatile. And I think that the volatility that we're seeing on Wall Street will probably add to the volatility as it relates to jobs that are being created or jobs that are not being created. 877-532-5797. Let me take a phone call. Let's go to line 1 and welcome Derek from Philadelphia, listening on WURD. Derek, welcome to Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You've got Andre. And then we're going to bring in Dr. Hutchinson. Go ahead, Derek.
Thank you so much. Love, peace, blessings, and prosperity unto you. I want to go in and say this right here in harmony with the first caller pertaining to America. If anyone who believes that God has blessed America, it's the time to start praying for America, because I believe our president demonstrated by befriending our Cold War enemy, Russia, and Putin. He demonstrated to me that democracy can be brought and sold. And so Putin and President from Syria, they're in cahoots now to come after our country. So I wanted to ask that people pray for America right now, because there's so much division that's going on in our country that we can really lose ourselves right now in the international waters or in the international world as being a world power. America isn't perfect, but this is where it's at for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, Derek, that was a great call, and I hope that everybody will continue to pray for our country. Thank you for the call. Joining us now is the one and only Dr. Earl Ofari Hutchinson. He's an author, political analyst, hosts his own nationally broadcast political affairs talk show on Pacifica NKTYM Radio in Los Angeles. Dr. Hutchinson, what do you think about what Derek had to say about, the whole notion that democracy is not guaranteed to survive and liberty is not guaranteed to survive, and the only thing we got to do is look at the rise of the Third Reich. I'm one of the few brothers in this country that have probably read that entire book, cover to cover, the rise and fall of the Third Reich. But what do you think about that, Dr. Hutchinson?
Well, actually, you have company. I've read it many, many times. It's a staple in my library. William Shirer. And actually wrote 2 books, The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich and Inside Nazi Germany, A Reporter's View. And I think there are a lot of lessons to be learned from that. Incidentally, in tandem with that, Andre, just yesterday in the New York Times, there was a huge piece, actually about 2 or 3 op-ed pieces, one from Madeline Albright and a couple of op-ed writers that are looking at Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Poland, how essentially they bought into Trump, how essentially they are almost neo-Nazis over there. One's a prime minister, there's going to be an election in Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Poland. And essentially, they've gone all the way to the right, scapegoating immigrants, essentially putting in a class division there, or solidifying that with an elite